But talking of young people, it is so neat to celebrate young people getting out and doing stuff and doing well in sport in their chosen areas of endeavour. And one of the things that can get in the way of that and gets in the way of adults getting on with their lives too can be addiction to various drugs or substances. And one of the most common is alcohol. And we hear much in New Zealand from the state-funded wowsers about controlling the damage and everything from alcohol. I would say philosophically it comes down to personal responsibility. But how can we stop people getting hooked on the booze or using what is a product that is designed for social cohesion and enjoyment and lubrication? Stop using in a way that damages particularly young people. We are joined now by Virginia Nicholls, the CEO of the Alcoholic Beverages Council, which is a kind of consortium or works on behalf of booze producers, to put it basically in New Zealand. And they have been doing, or they're part of a global movement by the industry to look at this issue of youth drinking. Virginia, welcome to the program.
Oh, good morning, Sean. Thank you for having me.
All right. I was quite surprised when I read this. Firstly, so there's this international organisation that looks at this for the industry, looks at youth drinking?
Absolutely. Can I just clarify what's going on in New Zealand at the moment as well? And then would that be all right?
Yeah, fine.
If I did that?
Yeah.
So in New Zealand at the moment, just to sort of set the scene, I guess, fewer under 18s are drinking alcohol, and those who do are drinking less hazardously, which is really good stuff. And according to the New Zealand Youth Survey, an increasing proportion of secondary school students are choosing not to drink, which is really good news. Those who have never drunk increased markedly from 26% in 2007 who hadn't drunk to 45% in 2019. And just, I don't want to sort of give too many stats here, but I just want to mention
one. Oh, God, we're turning into a nation of wowsers.
Well, it's good stuff, really, and we'll talk about that in a moment. But Dr. Jude Ball from the University of Otago this year came out with some research. She'd had a look at research from 2001 and how young people were drinking then and compared it to last year and found that there's a significant improvement in the way students are actually drinking. In 2001, more than half of those in secondary school by year 10 were regularly drinking and going to parties. And today, 1 in 64 year 10 students that were interviewed reported drinking alcohol socially, and that's only 1 in 64. So we've got some significant improvements in the way that young people are actually drinking. Yeah. So that's all good stuff. But yeah, we belong, the New Zealand Alcohol Beverages Council, we belong to the International Alliance for Responsible Drinking, which is our international organisation, and we have a look all the time at the research that's going on around the world, what's trending, what's working, because internationally as well, since 2010, underage drinking is also declining. It's fallen or stayed the same in 3/4 of 65 countries where the national data is available, and that comes from who we call IARD, which is this International Alliance for Responsible Drinking. Yeah.
Okay,
so
look, how do we compare internationally? How does our youth drinking compare internationally?
So it compares very well. We're improving. We're improving really well compared with the national data. But as I say, we acknowledge that we've still.
Okay, well, what countries, by international standards, are our young people heavy drinkers, light drinkers?
No, we're not heavy drinkers at all. In fact, if anything, we're more on the lighter side of drinking internationally, particularly compared with OECD countries. Yeah.
I was wondering too, Virginia, if we took this back, and I'll be honest, I'm thinking back to my youth, to the mid-'80s.
Yeah.
But it sells something. And you're giving me figures about how much youth drinking has reduced from 20,000 to 2019, and there's stark differences. You go back another 20 years, and I have set in my mind the place that alcohol or taking a few bevies or a six-pack to a party used to be. It might be, I'm just thinking, that for the average, 18 to 25-year-old now, they live, in terms of alcohol, in a completely different universe than I did at the same age.
It's all changing, and we can see those sort of numbers as well, that, as I say, the amount that we're drinking as adults is reduced by more than 25% since the late 70s. Things have really changed. The culture is changing, and about 81% of us are responsible drinkers, but we we always acknowledge we've still got too many hazardous drinkers at 19%. But that's where we feel it's quite important to put things around the hazardous drinkers, how we can help them, how we can support them, and how we can maybe get to them before
Do you
they
ever
become
find it
hazardous
funny to
drinkers.
work for an industry that spends all this time and money saying don't use our product?
Oh, no, I don't actually. I think it's not about not using the product. It's about using the product in a really responsible way. And when it's used responsibly, it's a very good product. But when it's used hazardously, it's not a good thing. And we acknowledge that. And so we're out there. We think it's really important to talk about this and to openly talk about it as well.